I'm pretty sure they didn't have any.
Oh, they did? I thought they did. Huh, never mind.
Pretty sure. If they did, it was probably just contract work.
Yeah, I was saying not as much as before. You know, probably helped out somewhat.
Yeah, but that's like saying like, oh, Tri-Ace and various other companies helped out with Final Fantasy 13 too.
Oh, somebody mentioned Tri-Ace. Somebody mentioned Tri-Ace. Off goes the trigger.
Oh boy.
So here's some news. Apparently,
the only trigger that works for Tri-Ace was Residence of Fate.
So apparently, the Russian government has banned Crunchyroll in the country.
What?
The Russian government has banned Crunchyroll from the country.
Is anybody surprised?
For apparently containing adult content.
What?
There's a few things on there that's questionable.
Yeah, I'm not surprised because like
Peter Grill's
the Russian government is all in on nationalism and like things that are like not Russian values and things like that. Like, I am not surprised about that. Fuck, honestly, fuck Russia. Seriously.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to get. Well, I'm going to anyway. I'm going to get into it.
Why would you not? Well, this is like the place where we talk about like everybody comes.
I know.
Half the time we talk about.
It's not really hate, but it's just like people.
Half the time we do talk about politics on here. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. So it's like since the end of the Cold War, like a lot of people have forgotten just how shitty Russia is.
Mm-hmm. Historically, how shitty Russia is.
And younger people don't really have a frame of reference because they didn't live through this stuff. Mm-hmm. And they just think, because they remember the weak Russia and from like the very early like 1990s and into probably the early to mid 2000s. They remember that Russia, which was, couldn't get out of its own way, basically. Rusting away, aging military Russia. That kind of stuff, but like the Russian ambition is still the same as it was, in the 1800s and the 1900s, and the mid-century. Like they still want to be what the United States is, but their governments and their I don't want to say their cultural values because that kind of borders on racism almost, because people's values are not like, oh, we hate gay people and oh, we hate. Like
nationalism is probably the way of saying it, though.
But yeah, but every single iteration of Russian nationalism, even to this day, has been very similar. It's rooted in the same things, and I know that people aren't like, if you give people a choice, like they probably wouldn't be this way, but they've just conditioned to be this way by their governments, and it's you see them making moves in the world, mostly in the Middle East, to try and fill these power vacuums that have been left by the Arab Spring has created a lot of power vacuum in the Middle East. The behavior, quite frankly, the behavior of the United States in the Middle East for the last 20 years of going in there and fucking shit up and then not sticking around to fix it, or at least not sticking around to fix it properly, is creating another power vacuum, and the Russians are more than happy to step right in there because they need people. They need people to sell arms to, number one. Number two, they need people to buy their natural resources because those two things are all that Russia has. Russia's economy is except for those two things.
And half of Russia is covered in ice. Let's not forget.
Well, yeah, I mean, like the Russian economy, like nobody's buying Russian-made goods unless they're arms. Like no, like they don't export anything of any real value except for arms and natural resources.
And vodka.
And vodka. Yeah.
I'm not joking. It's real.
And not to mention suicidal Russian things on top of that.
Yeah, and Vladimir Putin and his cronies are more than happy to keep making money off of natural resources. And
rings.
Yeah, but like the economy in Russia is so shit that they have to beat the drum of something to keep the people off their backs and to keep the people from I mean everybody realizes the economy is crap, but they want to keep people angry about something else. And that angry about something else is the United States outside forces that don't share Russian values, like homosexuals and other marginalized groups that they can blame things on. I mean, this is
the minorities too.
yeah, that's what I said. Oh yeah, marginalized groups. Like it's the same blueprint that every other dictatorship has used in the last 200 years.
Yeah.
You get the people mad about something else.
For destruction, smokescreen.
Yeah, and then they have this carefully sort of sculpted cult of personality around Vladimir Putin that kind of helps too. And you can see even like Republicans here in the United States have bought into that kind of thing, where they're like, oh, Vladimir Putin's a good guy. Not a good guy, a good leader, because he doesn't take a lot of shit. He stands up for what he believes in. Blah 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 blah. Like that's kind of like this international image that they've been trying to cultivate. And they know that not everyone's going to buy into it, but they just need enough people to buy into it in the West to fuck shit up. I mean, why do you think? I mean, why do you think that they were stoking all the Trump fires during the Trump years? Like they're doing it to destabilize the West to an extent where the West is not united, and they can sort of operate and get away with things that they might not have been able to get away with the West being distracted by their own internal problems.
Keep in mind, this is China's also doing the same thing.
China, yes. So China is a little bit different, and I like this because now I get to rant about all my foreign policy views.
Well, I'm just my feeling is like it's very simple with China, because you can see that clearly with Hong Kong, where Hong Kong was supposed to maintain its
yes
independence
Oh,
for
that was
like
common.
another 50 years, I think.
Yes. So China is eager to assert their position as the big boy, do not fuck with us in Southeast Asia. However, China is not nearly the same situation as Russia, because China doesn't want to destabilize the West. Like China doesn't want to create all these different power vacuums at the expense of Western stability and wealth, because the West is China's big market. So Russia doesn't sell things to the West. Russia sells things to everybody else. China, the West is China's huge market. Like they want to knock us off our peg to an extent, but not so much that it hurts their business. So they have a line that they won't cross because they don't want to jeopardize that.
We also see the long con too, the kind of more of a slightly more Machiavellian way of thinking to a degree.
Perhaps, but Russia is all about fucking shit up for the West and then stepping in wherever the West isn't.
China is playing more of like economics game too. Where Russia doesn't give a shit about it.
Yeah, so it's the same. It's pretty much the same thing as Russia during the Cold War. Like, but instead of trying to export communism everywhere, they're just trying to export their natural resources essentially. They're trying to take over the world. I mean, it's just another. Go ahead. Sorry.
Look at the way how they're trying to do the thing with Africa, rather than do the whole hard colonialism thing. They're doing it in a slightly different way, with just buying into things.
Yes, exactly. Like they're buying interest in a lot of companies. They are providing loans and things like that to foreign governments. Like they don't want to take over the world. Take over the world. They just want to make you a little bit more dependent on them. And so they essentially have a captive market. And it's kind of happening in Eastern Europe right now because they export gas to pretty much everybody in Europe, because that's one thing they have a shitload of. Yeah. And they've got a lot of Eastern Europe by the balls, because they don't want them to turn off the pipe. Mm-hmm. Like this thing in Ukraine, for instance.
Yeah, something that's been kind of like the big thing for the last
couple weeks, probably. Yeah.
Well, not just the last couple of weeks. It's like basically for like the last.
Well, I mean, it's really gotten. What the hell?
What? It's getting close to the level of East Germany, West Germany again, like Berlin Wall era shit.
I think we're heading towards that. And at this point, I kind of hate to say this, but at this point, I kind of wish that we would just go ahead and accelerate it, and let's just go ahead and start Cold War II, because the sooner we do that, and the sooner that we try to contain Russia, I think the better off the world will be.
Oh.
I know that there's probably some people who disagree with me because this sounds a whole lot like, oh, here we go again. You know, America is like dictating to the rest of the world like what they can and can't do.
Yeah, we've been
But-
doing that for 20, 30 years.
Yeah, but I mean, like, would you rather have a world where a lot of, I don't want to say the policies, but would you rather have a world that's, and dominated is the wrong word too, but would you rather have a world that's steered, I guess, by more Western values, or would you rather have a world that's steered by Russian values?
Well, clearly I want America because Russia banned Crunchyroll, which is so I want my anime.
I mean, like, I know that America sucks, and we're terrible in a lot of ways, but man, Russia is way worse.
Also, Russia's also influencing America as like a lot more shitty stuff in America too, which is not helping either.
Well, I mean, that's part of their plan to kind of like sort of destabilize things in the West. I mean, who do you think is funding all these far right groups in Europe right now, like the Marie Le Pens in France and things like that? It's Russian oligarchs that are funding a lot of their shit.
Macron is also kind of falling into that pocket to a degree too, but he's a piece of shit. So
yeah. And I mean, the same thing's probably going on. We know the same thing has been happening here. That they tinker with our elections. They throw a lot of disinformation out in their fucking like KGB fucking Facebook farms or whatever they have that they're running over there. Just all these bots that they control to just comment on shit on people's social media. You know, throwing a lot of that misinformation out here. And there are people that are more than happy to lap it up and to keep repeating it, and it just gets worse. Like I'm not blaming Russia; they're not the sole cause of this, but they are definitely doing some of it. And their whole aim is just to fuck shit up just enough over here to kind of like distract us from really caring about what they're doing.
yeah, let's go. So I wonder how many people legitimately know that Vladimir Putin stole a Super Bowl ring.
Amazing.
How many people actually know that?
Yeah, I've read that story before, but I'm not sure how true it is.
No,
But
it's actually real. It did
Could
happen.
make a birdie.
yeah, but I mean, you know, it's
Don't lose it.
I'm not surprised.
That's like that's like chump change or stealing candy from a baby compared to what we're actually talking about.
I don't know. I
know, but it just kind of shows like how his mind works, because a lot of people don't realize that Vladimir Putin was like a high-ranking like KGB colonel.
Yep.
Before he is the prime minister of Russia. So like this dude is, I don't know what unit he was in, but you know the KGB is like full of like all kinds of weird like psyop shit.
Yep.
And it, you know, that kind of influence and that kind of behavior, I guess, is something that I'm not shocked is coming from him. You know what I mean? Like, I know I didn't do a very good job of connecting that.
With Merkel, he went an interview with her, and she's deathly afraid of dogs. He bought a freaking German Shepherd.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, because that's the kind of shit that he does.
Yeah.
That's the kind of shit that he does, just to try to throw people, you know, try to throw people off their game, more or less.
The point is, the guy's a weird dude. So
Yeah, I mean, like, I know, like, people who are listening to this are probably thinking, like, this guy's fucking crazy. Like, where's he getting all this shit from? Like, this stuff's all out there, man. Like, none of the stuff that I've said is like.
It's basic history.
I mean, you can get out there. You can get out there on the CIA fact book or whatever and read about this stuff. Like, this is like not anything that's in the realm of conspiracy. This is mostly just, you know, this is
how
mostly
many people forgot that the country was Georgia was invaded? That's in like the late 2000s.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you know, and then they just pulled right back out of it. Like that whole thing was just trying to test. Was it Obama? Didn't he do that when was it Obama or Bush that had just taken off? I think it was Obama.
Bush. It was Bush, I think.
Well, it happened at the very end of Bush, I think.
Break to the left.
Oh, but that was right during the collapse, the depression.
It was right. Yeah, it was right before Obama took office. So he was doing that to kind of I think he was doing that to kind of test and see how far he could get, like how far he could go, and how far he could push Western powers under the new administration. Because, you know, everybody knows that, you know, the United States is calling the shots in NATO. So I think that's what he was doing. Like, he was just trying to like push the envelope a little bit with them, and then all right, well we've accomplished our mission, so now we're going to back out of here. I think he just wanted to see how they would handle it.
And this was a PR thing too, the strongman image.
Yeah, that's that
Mind you,
too. That's also part of the reason why they do this stuff. It's like, oh, Vladimir Putin doesn't take any shit. You know, somebody threatens Mother Russia, and he goes in there with tanks. You know, like that's part of it as well.
Speaking of which, Mortar Investment just updated their catalog. And holy shit.
Who?
Mortar Investment. Basically the only place where you can buy actual Soviet tanks and shit online.
Oh, God.
They now have T-34, T-5s, and T-72s. This is impressive.
Tiger tanks?
No, Tigers are
No,
German.
I wish, but they're
Tigers
very
are-
rare.
Sorry, I forget. I get them mixed up sometimes. So.
Yeah, you know, I keep thinking that America never had their own version of the Hind either. That's what Soviet Union was well known for, right? The Hind.
I know. America we had our own attack helicopters.
Yeah, I was saying, but nothing compared to the Hind at that time until much later on, until after.
No. Like the Apache pretty much filled the same role as the Hind.
Oh, okay. I
Just
thought
the Hind was a lot bigger.
Never mind. I think the Hind was like very infamous, still, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, because you gotta think, like, America, how many times we deployed Apaches and used them? Like Afghanistan, Iraq War probably, and that's pretty much it.
Well, I meant the Cold War period.
Well, yeah, I know. I was getting to that. What were the Russians doing? What were the Russians doing during the Cold War? They were running roughshod over Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So, I'm not the Hind being heavily armored is there's a reason for that. Is because that sucker was flying low half the time, and blowing away jeeps and light armored vehicles and then anti-personnel. So that sucker was flying low. That's why they had that. That's why that thing is like a flying armored bathtub essentially.
Holy shit.
Well, don't forget Rambo 3. This movie is dedicated to the Taliban.
Oh yeah.
This movie is dedicated to brave fighters.
They're kind of the same role. Like that was the attack helicopter but they were used differently. Because like the United States, the Apache hovers like 3 miles away. Finds targets 3 miles away where they can't see them, but they can see you, and fucking launch Hellfire rockets or tow missiles or whatever at them, and you never see it coming. Like that's what the Apache does.
Yep.
I actually have a roommate. One of my roommates from college flew Apaches in Afghanistan.
Holy shit, they even have the Czechoslovakian version of the SDKFZ half-tracks from World War II.
I imagine the German stuff is harder to get than the Russian stuff is.
Oh, it's practically impossible.
Yeah, because like they made so much less of it, and then plus all those laws in Europe where you can't, like, any Nazi paraphernalia or German World War II stuff is like banned basically in every country in Europe. That makes it harder.
Not just that, just practically everything German was also just scrapped in the immediate years after.
Oh yeah, if you even have a swastika that shit does not fly in Germany. They scrub that shit quick.
Oh yeah,
that thing.
yeah, yep.
When Wolfenstein came out, they were not happy. Or the new Wolfenstein games, they took every like Nazi symbol away from that game, even though it was released over there.
Well, there was the guy in Germany like
Room's
about
open,
4 or
by the
5
way.
years ago.
By the
who
way,
had-
Rob says like Russia used to be good for aircraft carrier, but yeah. So it's compared like how they used to rip off the Concorde and some of the stuff that they designed for shit for over the years. So
Well, it still imports a lot of aircraft too around the world. Fun fact: India during the Cold War was one of the few people that bought both American and Soviet arms.
Yeah,
same
not surprising. And another well-known example of that is that Iran, like Iran, is still operating F-14s that were purchased in the United States from when the Shah was in power in Iran. We sold them F-14s, and then when he was deposed, like the Iranian Revolutionary Government or whatever you want to call them, like they seized all those suckers, and then, of course we wouldn't do any business with them. We told them to fuck off, obviously. So they have reverse engineered, like they took apart one of those F-14s and fucking reverse engineered everything on it, so they know how it works. They know how to make parts for it, and they make their own shit for these F-14s that are still flying in Iraq.
Oh, well, also don't forget the Iran-Contra affair where U.S. sold a bunch of arms. The Reagan administration.
Oh yeah,
Also,
well, the administration didn't actually don't think the administration actually. I think that was mostly a CIA thing.
Well, no, it was actually during. It was also.
Yeah, I know it was during Reagan's tenure, but like I'm pretty sure that was like a CIA black program that I don't think the White House was too cognizant of.
Well, I was gonna say that piece of shit that was involved in it, he's still like beloved guy. He's like,
oh yeah, Ollie North.
Yep,
Ollie. So when I was a kid, right? When I was a kid, Ollie North was a huge hero. Like even though he was getting skewered at the Iran-Contra hearings and was probably going to end up in jail, like there were people, literally a lot of people in this country who believed that he was a hero because he was doing shit that nobody else would do to try and fight communists in Latin America or whatever you call it, Central America, in Central America. And I used to see bumper stickers on people's cars as a kid, like pro Ollie North bumper stickers. So this dude had a huge cult of personality around him. Like there are people that were like, I saw a lot of like free Ollie North stickers or like Ollie North for president. Ollie North 5, Congress 0, stuff like that. Yeah, it was like super bizarre looking back on it.
The irony is that he also voiced a character in Call of Duty Black Ops 2.
Did he really?
Yep, I'm looking at stuff right now.
Did he play himself?
Honestly, he said he's credited as a military consultant on it and he voiced himself in the game.
I knew it. I told you. I figured so because Reagan is in the fucking game. So if they fucking put Reagan in the game, I'm sure that I wouldn't put it past him to do Ollie.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't even think he served any jail time, actually, if I remember correctly.
I don't think he did.
No, he did not.
So he got stoned. He was like pretty much like stoned.
Remember, wasn't he like president of the NRA shortly too? Like 6 months or some shit?
I don't know.
Yeah, probably. I can't wait to see the demise of that organization because they're on a shit show.
Well, they are kind of they're on their way out because like the whole thing with Wayne LaPierre and like the scandal with all the money. Like they have taken a big backseat lately because they have so many internal problems.
I can tell you this right now: no Second Amendment person even supports the NRA anymore because they're just that corrupt.
Yeah, like I know a lot of here in Georgia. I know a lot of gun people around here, and when you mention the NRA to them, I think mostly they're just embarrassed of the NRA at this point, kind of like how a lot of suburban Republicans are embarrassed of Trump. Like I think they're kind of embarrassed about the NRA because it's just every time a school gets shot up, everybody mentions the NRA, and nobody wants to be associated with that. So I think a lot of that support for the NRA, or at least public support, has gone away because people don't want to be associated with it. But they're all still pro-gun, like wildly pro-gun industry.
Yeah, they're just quietly like chewing in the bits, just like igniting rather than do like big, massive public support. I have a friend at work, quite literally, a friend from work, or where I used to work, anyways. Nice guy, great guy, but man, when it comes to guns, like he gets super defensive and super like NRA and super like blames everything else except for guns. And I don't know what to do. Like it's not like, I mean it's not like he's handing out guns to kids and shit, But like and it's not so severe that I would end a friendship over it. But man, I wish he wasn't so gung ho about fucking guns. Like this dude has he owns like 6 assault rifles for no reason. Like he just has them because they're cool. And I'm just like, dude, why? No, he doesn't even hunt. He just goes out on property and shoots, or like goes to the range or whatever. And I'm like, dude, do you really need why do you need these? And he was like, well, why not? But
he's I don't need this big too, but I got it.
Yeah, but I mean, I have a shotgun. Like I'm a gun owner myself. Like I own 2 guns. I don't keep them here. I keep them locked up at my mom's house, but they're my guns. I own 2 guns. I'm a gun owner. So I get it. But like, why do you need 6 assault rifles? And why do you need like a fucking 40-round drum for your AR-15 that you're never going to use?
To quote the Simpsons, this is to keep the King of England out of my face.
I mean, like
Written that down.
it's pointless. The only thing you have is just a dick waving contest. Thankfully, he's not one of these open carry dudes. Like I understand those people even less. Like why? Like the whole thing behind open carry is that it's just intimidation. Like it makes you feel good because you think people are looking at you and you think people are scared of you. It's the same reason why people have cars that look like cop cars. You know, because it's a powerful feeling, I guess, that they get off on. But like, you know, like they interview people on the news, like, you know, sir, like, why are you open carrying in the Atlanta airport? And he's like, well, just in case anything happens. You know, but I'm like, there's security guards around you and air marshals that are all armed to the teeth walking through this bitch. Like, why do you think you need an AR-15 to pick your daughter up from her flight? Like, you know. I don't know.
What's gonna happen, brother?
I guess not. But I've only ever seen like civilians open carrying pistols, except for once. I saw somebody with a fucking. It wasn't even an assault rifle. It was a fucking rifle, like a hunting rifle.
Like a one-shot
In
rifle?
well, yeah, like a bolt action. In Cumberland Mall here in Atlanta at a Sears, and I was like, I saw that guy, and I turned around and walked out the store because. Yeah, I don't know what that fucker's gonna do.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
shit.
Like, this is America. You see someone open carry with a fucking rifle, you turn around and walk the other way.
When the news came out about the Johnson & Johnson, I actually used this argument with my mom when I explained the blood clots. I said, like, I am more likely to get shot walking into a supermarket than I am to get this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, my mom actually called me.
We're
My mom
already
actually
up to
called me.
147 shootings in this country.
Yep. My mom actually called me today, just to tell me you're not still trying to get that Johnson & Johnson vaccine, are you? Because she saw the news, and she flipped out because people are getting blood clots. What she didn't realize is that it's like 5.8 million people that have gotten this stupid thing already, and like 6 people. Yeah, 6.8. Excuse me, 6.8.
0.0001%.
And 6 people have gotten blood clots and died. I mean, like.
All of them are female, and there's evidence to support that they were taking contraceptives.
It's one of those things like these blood clots would have happened anyway. The vaccine just triggered it.
I mean, the only thing I can say against Johnson & Johnson is that the other vaccines have a higher success rate, but that's the only thing I can say against Johnson & Johnson, rather than actual not get it completely.
Yeah,
True. Because
my sister got the J&J weeks ago, and she's fine.
Well, Dalo got it too, and he's fine. So.
It usually, according to the data, like it takes about like a week to like 10 days for like symptoms of the blood clots to come in. But I'm perfectly fine right now, currently. So. But when it comes down to it, like I don't really think the like the success rate really matters so much. Is it like the whole point is like to get it's just to defang like the coronavirus that's like running around here and there.
Yeah, just control.
Yeah. So I apologize for my
like I
ranting
said,
about guns in Russia. So.
Oh no, all good, man. We're all kind of good. Plus, trust me, man, this is the worst thing we talk about on here.
I mean, I don't. agree with
At this point, if
everything,
people
but I
are
don't
still
really care.
listening to us play golf, this is what they come to hear.
Trust me, it's better. It's still better than us going on a rant about Uric 7 AO.
Yeah, it's true.